In this video, we'll talk about shared CSS in LWC. So till now we have seen inline styling, external CSS, and the external CSS, like each component has their own CSS file. But suppose there is a scenario in which you want same design or same styling in two different components, then you have to write the same CSS again and again, right? To sort out this sort of issue, LWC recently has introduced the shared CSS concept. So let's go to the VS Code and see this. So I'm in my VS Code. Let's create the component first. I'll create the component. I'll give this component name styling1. Take the default path. Similarly, I'll create another component and I'll give the component name styling2. So now I have two components, styling1 and styling2. So I'll go quickly and create the lightning card. And to the card, I'll give the title at least, style1, style1. And in between, I'll give the same margin div class, LDS, margin around medium. And same thing, I'm gonna copy from here and gonna paste it in the style1.html. So we just created the card and give some margin around it. So in the first, I'll create one div and I'll give the class wrapper, and within this I'll give the class skills. I'll write the CSS for this in a minute. I'll say CSS. I'll give two class, one is skill and one is CSS, and I'll say 80%. And I'll copy the same thing and paste it to style HTML2, and here I'll give this to HTML. I'll make this class like 90% something. I'm giving just a static number right now. So let's create a external CSS here. So I'll say styling1.css, and here I'll give styling2.css. So the style we want here is, first thing we need the wrapper. I'll create a wrapper class and I'll say I need the wrapper to be of 100% width. I want the background color to be gray. So I'm just creating a div with a gray color and giving the width 100%. I can give the hex code as well. So I just create the wrapper. Then I have another class skill, or we can make it skills actually. Let's make both places skills. Come back to CSS. I'll create another skills class and I'll say whatever inside this class, it should be of text align right. And apart from that, I want some padding. I can say padding top 10 pixel. We can optimize it and we can use SLDS classes as well, but to demonstrate this particular example, I'm writing the external CSS. I have the padding bottom 10 pixel and I have a color white. Apart from that, I have another class HTML, and for that I can write a simple background color or the width color. I'll say HTML width to be 90%. So because I have given here text 90%, I want the width of the HTML bar should be of 90%, and background color is any color you can give. I can give 4CAF50 some random number, so it's a green color right now. Same class you copy and paste it into the style1.css, and here we don't have HTML, we have a CSS, and that too of 80%. We will change this HTML to CSS and change it to 80%, and here we can change the class to some other color. So I can give some another number to 196F3. It's gonna be something like blue color. And let's quickly add our meta files. So I'll copy paste this meta file from my other files because we already know what it does. I'll come to this and I'll replace this. I'm making my is exposed to true and making this component available to app page. Similar thing I'm gonna do to my another component. And let's deploy these two components. So this is the basic scenario what we usually do. So I'll run the command sftx force colon source colon push. It will deploy my two components. So now both the components deployed successfully. Let's go to our org and let's go to the edit page and let's place our component quickly. So right now we have written two same classes in two different components. So the container or the wrapper class, I'll say styling 1 and the styling 2 component. So I'm deploying this right now, or I'm placing it inside the canvas. Let's save this and see how it looks. So now you can see our style 1. We forgot to update the title, but this is style 2. And here we are showing the blue bar, here we are showing the green bar with the 90% width and the 80% width. But if we go back to our component, you will observe one thing. The styling in the styling1.css, these two classes are almost same with respect to these two classes, and we are writing again and again this code, right? So to fix this, lightning web component has come up with a shared CSS concept. So for that you need to create another component, lightning web component, and you can give CSS shared or library, any name whatever you want. I'll give the component name CSS library, so it will create a new component. So the first thing you have to do is to delete the JS file and the HTML file. We don't need this. I'm deleting this, and then you go to your CSS library folder or the component folder and create the CSS file here with the same name as your component name. So CSS library.css. So now we have our CSS file that gonna be the separate component. So we'll bring the common CSS to this particular file. So I'll cut from here this CSS and come to my common library, and I'll go to the another style component, means another styling 2 component. I'll remove that those two classes from their CSS file as well. We need these class are unique to a particular component. HTML is to styling 2 and CSS to styling 1. And before that we can update the title as well, style 2, and the margin, it should be around, actually it should not be bottom. Do this as well. So now we have our style library or CSS common library. Now we want to import these classes that are common in both the component. So to import this, we have another approach, that is @import. So you need to call inside your CSS library import, and which CSS you want to import, you can simply say c slash c is our namespace and your library name. So our component name is CSS library, and this is how we import that. And same thing you can copy paste in the styling 2, and let's deploy this. So what exactly we are doing here is we just move the redundant CSS to a single component, CSS library.css. We called it shared library. So we moved our CSS to here, and we are importing those CSS classes using @import the hyphen that library name into the both component, and now those classes will be available here. So let's go and deploy this. So now it's deployed. Let's go and refresh the page. Now you can see our component are still looking the same, and it's still loading the colors and the same styling, and we are using the shared CSS. But right now, the time it's introduced, there is a flaw right now in this approach that I'll show you. So if anytime you change any library, suppose I create a class here, I'll say ABC and I'll give color red, and if I try to deploy this now, sometime it throws an error and it says the import library is not available. Right, maybe this is in the recent version we have seen. Right now it's applied, but sometime you may face, so that time you need to select your component that you are deploying along with the CSS library. So you change something in this, either you give the space or something, then run this command, it will deploy it. Because many people ask me they are facing this issue, and I too observe the same issue. So whenever you change any library or any component in which you are using import, just make sure to deploy both together if you face an issue like @import is not available or something. So that's all about the shared CSS in LWC. You can build your big CSS as well and use in many different components, and it's a better approach, I would say. So that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next video.